So failure, right? Failure is a word that gets thrown around a lot, and people like to say, oh, I'm a failure. Oh, I failed at this. Oh, I failed at that. He's a failure. She's a failure. But it's a word that I feel gets used like hate, right? Where it's really not the case. And in many cases, is used a lot stronger than how it really should be used, right? So today I want to touch a little bit on that. All right. What do we mean by failure, right? Quite simply, but if you look in the dictionary, it will say is the lack of success, right? Now, the question is, what's your definition of success, right? Your definition of success and someone else's definition of success might be two different things, right? So they may, for their idea of success, their bar might be set much higher than your bar, right? And so if you do not meet that bar, they'll look and say, oh, you're a failure, you didn't meet that bar. But that's not the bar that you set for yourself, right? So when going after success, you need to establish what is your definition of success, because your definition of success can be different from somebody else's, right? Someone idea of success, you hear this all the time. You'll have someone whose entire idea is, I want to make as much money as I can in my lifetime, right? So their success is driven by how much money they can make in their lifetime. Another person may say, my idea of success is I I want to have I want to be able to take care of my family. I want to be able to take care of my kids, live in a nice modest home, and that will make me happy, right? So if the person who is only caring about money look at your life, even when you've achieved all of that, they're going to say you're a failure, right? Because there's so much more money you could have had. You know, may look at that person, and that person is still single, that person doesn't have any kids, that person is just only about money. You may say they're a failure because they haven't achieved the other things that you've achieved, right? So you need to determine what is your idea of success, right? All right. Now, my thing with regarding failure, right, is while they say failure is just lack of achieving success, right? To break it down further, in my opinion, right? I have to say it's my opinion. It's not in Webster, all right? My opinion, failure isn't a matter of, oh, not just achieving that one goal at that particular moment in time, right? Failure is when you stop trying to achieve that goal, right? So some examples: education, right? You go ahead, you go to school, the work seems hard, you're not passing classes and those things. So you drop out of school and your whole thing is, oh, I tried it and it didn't work out, so I'm giving up on it, right? Love, you go ahead, you get married, you get divorced, you look at that and say, oh, I tried it, it didn't work, i'm I'm never falling in love again, right? Friendships, the same thing. Finances, almost all the time, right? You go ahead, you make an investment. There are tons of people who felt like they were failures after Super Plus, right? Or there are tons of people who feel like they're failures when they take part in any Ponzi scheme, right? Or a multi-marketing scheme, right? Where you go ahead, you put in your money, you don't see the return, and so you say, I tried, I failed, I'm not trying any of that. I'm just gonna put my money inside the bank and just let it sit, right? So failure is It's not necessarily the fact that you put money into Super Plus and Super Plus went down. It's not the fact that, oh, you went to school and you didn't pass the exams. It's not the fact that, oh, you went ahead, got married, and it ended up in a divorce. The failure comes in when that's it, when you no longer even try at those aspects, right? You've given up. That's being a failure, right? So I wanted to clarify that. All right. So what counts is essentially your response to failure, right? You have some people who they go, they take an exam, they don't pass the exam, and they completely shut down, right? They completely shut down. You're not seeing them at work the next day. They're not eating. They're not coming out of their room. All of that. They're essentially going straight into depression because they have this overwhelming feeling that they're a failure, right? And if we look back on the previous slide, what I say is a failure. A failure is a person who has given up, right? So when you didn't pass that exam, when you got that divorce, when you lost money in the stock market, that did not make you a failure. What makes you a failure is your response to that event, right? So how should you respond to this event? Well, you need to ask yourself a few questions, right? One, how bad do I really want this, right? If it's but if you're studying to become a lawyer, you have the bar exam. You took the bar exam, you didn't pass. You sit down, you're moping and those things. You need to ask yourself, how badly do I want to be a lawyer, right? You go ahead, you invest, you lost some money. How badly do I want to invest, right? That's important. How badly do you want it, right? The next question, did you truly try your best? Everybody always say, oh, go inside the exam, try your best. Oh, did you do your best? Yes, I did my best. Who answers honestly, right? Who answers honestly? Who actually, if you say, did you try your best? Who says, no, I didn't try my best. No, right? You want to, many times people like to ensure that they're the victim in the whole process. And so coming out and being truthful and say, no, I didn't try, is going to garner a response that you don't want at that time, right? Because if you come out and say, oh, I didn't try, the person going to say, well, of course you didn't pass, right? Or of course, but of course you got that divorce, right? Of course you lost money, right? So the blanket thing, it is, yeah, I did my best, right? I did my best almost comes in like when you say, hey, how you doing? Another person say, I'm doing fine. Their day is going horrible. But the general thing is, I'm doing fine, right? But you need to sit down and ask yourself, did you truly do your best? Now, in order for you to do your best, did you prepare and put in the effort, right? If it's a relationship, did you put the effort into making that relationship work? Did you really do that, right? And I guess I should have put this before did you try your best? Because if you didn't prepare and you didn't put in the effort, there's no way you could have really tried your best, right? But if somebody is taking an exam and they didn't study, how can they go inside the exam and say I tried my best, right? If you're in a relationship and you've been distant the entire relationship, haven't been around and all that, how do you, and it ends in a divorce, how do you sit down and say, well, I did my best? No, right? For whatever you're doing, even when it comes down to investing, right? You go ahead, you lose some money, right? Did you really put effort into investing, right? Or Or was it a situation where, oh, I put some money over there, but in this company, you don't really know anything about the company. You weren't following the news about the company. You have nothing. You just know that, oh, I put some money over there and it didn't work out. So I did my best. Oh well, right? No, in order to do your best with anything, you have to put in the effort and you have to prepare, right? So that is your response. You need to ask yourself these three questions. And chances are, if you really want it, right? When you ask, how bad do you really want it? If you really want it, and if the answer is no, I really didn't prepare like I should. I really didn't put in the effort like I should. So therefore, I really didn't try my best. Then you're not a failure. And it doesn't mean that you need to give up. It just means that you now know what is it that you need to do, right? So that's what these questions help you to do, is to narrow down what is it that you need to do, all right? Now, fear of failure, right? Why do we, here, why do we fear failure, right? Because it's safe, right? It's very safe to avoid failure in any way, right? A man goes ahead and there's a woman and he really like the woman, right? And he sees the woman each day. But in the fear that the woman will reject him, he never asks that woman out on a date, right? And in turn, that woman goes ahead and it ends up with somebody else, and you spend days, hopefully not years, hopefully you'll get over it, right? But you may spend days or weeks saying, oh, if only I'd done it, right? The fear of failure makes you constantly say, if only, right? And one of the things that you will find is, as you try to progress in life and as you work on being successful in a holistic manner, right? What I mean is successful with friendships, relationships, finances, is you cannot be afraid to fail, right? There are tons of examples. People like to say, oh, well, Jane took that exam and she passed it on her first go, so I'm not even going to try. What? There are tons of people who took that same exam 20 times before they passed. And guess what? Them and Jane work in the same job, making the same amount of money now, right? So, so it's not necessarily the process, it's the outcome, right? You go ahead, you invest, take um take for instance most business owners. Just about every billionaire that you see out there that everybody's talking about has failed at some point. Steve Jobs actually got fired from Apple and then went to work at another company before he came back to Apple. And we saw what happened to Apple after he came back, right? You have Elon Musk, who went ahead and twice had to use his personal finances to try and build Tesla. Oh, build to save Tesla from going bankrupt. And we all see where he is now. Um, the um, the Walmart family failed several times, and we all see what happened now. Now, none of them is looking and saying, well, this person, they started the business and on the first go, they're doing well. So I guess I won't start. No, if that was the situation, there would be no Tesla, there would be no Walmart. Apple wouldn't be what it is today, right? Who knows, chances are there wouldn't be any Microsoft, all of these companies. Is because their leaders did not fear failure, right? So if you want to move forward, you have to work on eliminating that fear. So what causes these fear of failure? One, how will we be perceived by our peers, right? That's one of the big things. Oh, everybody's going to look at me as a failure. Oh, how am I going to face Jane tomorrow knowing that I failed? Don't care about them. You have your own journey, right? You not passing is essentially 9-day talk, right? It's your reaction to not passing that's going to define who you are, okay? The other thing is we tend to have impatience with ourselves, right? How many times have you heard where people invest money into the stock market and that first year they essentially get little or no return, and then they take the money out of the stock market and say, well, it wasn't for me. I put money in there. I had it in there for a whole year and I didn't even make that much more money on it. You know what? This is not for me. What? Over only 1 year? How many times have people started a business? Now, the general rule for a business is that it's not profitable until about the 3rd to 5th year. But how many people after the first year go ahead and call it quits because they suffered losses in the first year, right? So we have impatience within ourselves, right? Then we tend to overstate our expectations, right? When you're setting your goals, try and be real about your goals, right? If you're going ahead and you're investing your money into the stock market, right? You've invested in, be realistic of what you invested in, right? You invested in a dividend stock. And then at the end of the year, you see that your stock only grew by 5%. Yes, it was a dividend stock, right? Don't go beating up yourself. Oh, people made 100% return and I only made 5%. What did you expect, right? We tend to overstate our expectations in just about everything. And that in turn fuels the impatience that we have on ourselves because we're always expecting this quick turnaround on everything. Well, newsflash, if you are investing in the stock market, you are in it for the long haul, right? You're not really going to make any money until about 5 to 10 years down the road. All right. That is being realistic, right? So if at the end of 1 year of investing, you're looking and you're saying, oh, I didn't make this whopping return, be realistic. All right. Say to yourself, rather than focusing on the fact you didn't make a return, focus on the fact that you did make some form of return. Okay. All right. Now, to overcome, right? I'll go back to the whys, right? They actually have a book on the whole book of whys. So I've kind of gotten into this love of asking why about everything that I do, right? So now remember, one of the things that I said, how to overcome your fears, was you had to ask, your first question was, do I really want this, right? Now your next question is, why do I want this, right? If you're investing, why do you want to invest, right? You need to ask yourself that. The next question is, why do I need this? Why do I need investment, right? And ask, why can't I achieve my goal without this, right? So if your goal is financial freedom, right? And financial success and financial wealth, ask, why is it that I need to invest in order to achieve that? Is there another way? If there's another way that you can achieve that, then okay, fine. But chances are you're gonna come right back to there's no other way. And if there's no other way, suck it up. You have to do it. All right? All right. Now, here is another thing. And each time I always touch on don't listen to other people, don't follow social media or something like that, right? Do not follow the advice of naysayers, right? When you go through life, you will meet up on so many naysayers, right? If I was to follow naysayers, my life would be not even quarter where it is today, right? Even to start doing these weekly presentations and these weekly discussions, I met up on naysayers, right? So do not follow them, right? One, the path you have chosen is the path that you have determined is best for you. Nobody else can choose your path, right? And honestly, many of the naysayers are really jealous of your path, right? So they want you to think that that's not the best for you, right? But you need to know that is the path you have chosen and that's the path that's best for you, right? The other thing, misery loves company, right? They're failures, right? Most of these naysayers, they're failures themselves, right? So they want nothing more than to add another failure to the whole failure community, right? Let's all be failures together, right? Do not join that community. That is not the community you want to join, right? Now, why are they really naysayers, right? Why is it that they care so much to be a naysayer with you? Chances are they're in um deep down inside, sometimes not even so deep inside, they're jealous of you, right? And your success is a threat to them because it in turn brings out their insecurities, right? So you're hanging out with a certain group of friends. Right now, you guys are all in the same boat, not really making much money. You guys going ahead each day eating patties or whatever little cheap thing from mothers, right? Um, that you can get. And so you guys are one happy community, right? The rest of them are not really trying to grow. You're trying to grow, right? When you reach to the point now where you are starting to move up the ladder, right? Their whole thing is they want to bring you down to them. They're not going to say, I want to do better too. Let's all move up to keep up together. No, their whole thing is let us cry you down. Let's try and break you down to bring you down to our level so that we can stay in this one happy broke community, right? So realize a lot of it is their own insecurities. All right. So when in doubt, right? To, as summary, when faced with failures, right? You fail an exam, you lose money in the stock market, you're feeling down, right? You need to go back to basics, right? Everyone, when they start on a journey, they start also textbook, they start also nice and so forth. And then once they start winning at life, they tend to drop off certain things along the way, right? I am guilty of that myself, right? And sometimes I have to pull myself back and go back to basics, go back to what is it that I was using as motivation, as fuel for my growth, right? So, what is your fuel? For many, it's religion, right? It's being in the church, it's praying, right? Make sure you keep up with that, right? For others, it's inspirational books, quotes, videos, songs, right? Another thing is take time to focus on what you are currently good at. It's very easy when you don't pass at something or when you didn't succeed at something to instantly look at yourself as if you're bad at everything. Take a moment and focus on what is it that I am good at, right? And when you focus on what is it that you're good at, that in itself will motivate you, because everybody is good at something that somebody else is not, right? And know that that skill that you have, that you are good at, somebody else is struggling with, right? So take time and focus on that. Next thing, realize it is never too late, right? When I was there doing my first degree, there was I had several people in my class that was like in their 40s or 50s getting their first degree, right? Now I'm there essentially 18, looking at them saying, wow, these guys are really old, right? But at no point in time they ever showed like as if they felt anyway, right? And it's because it's never too late, right? People at all ages, when you look, I'm sure you see examples of people in their 60s, 70s, just now getting their PhD, right? It's never too late, right? Lastly, focus on the results that would be achieved from your hard work, right? You invested, it didn't work out. When you go to invest, don't focus on what didn't work out. Look and say, what is it that you are trying to achieve? And think of what your life will be when you achieve that, and realize all you need to do is just get through this hurdle right now, and that dream will be realized. All right. So that concludes my presentation today. And so shortly I will stop recording, and I will be more than happy to take any questions that you guys may have, if you guys have any questions. All right, so I'll make sure you guys are subscribed to my YouTube channel. I didn't upload the last video, right? So now it's doubled up on me. And so this week I'll have 2 videos that I'll have to upload. If you want to reach out to me outside of this, you can either reach me via WhatsApp if you have my number, or you can send me an email. All right. Thank you, guys.